for blonde found dead in alley. Too old for schoolgirl, too young for mother of three, too well brought up to be hostess or barmaid, she came within a whisker of being Peckham girl to Star News and Standard, or London seamstress to the Nationals, had she not spent that fortnight picking hops near Maidstone last September and turned her bingled hair from mouse to gold. The bare headline had obviously shocked and saddened the charladies, but the details, 19, blonde hair, pink blouse, red jacket, seemed to be eating away at their sympathy, and the facts in the case became a hateful game of lotto in which each vied with the others to find something in their own lives to match the story in the newspaper. All three spoke in loud, H-less voices, not seeming to mind that the whole omnibus could hear them. Dora opened her book and buried her eyes in Bertie Wooster, but it was impossible not to listen. You couldn't really call it eavesdropping. None of them thought too highly of Peckham, although there were some quite nice parts where a sister, not the one who'd married the glazier, the other one, had had a quite cosy two-pair front out Sydenham Hill way, but Peckham, there were streets down there where decent women daren't even, and as for alleys. The dead girl, Mavis? Someone's brother's boy used to go with a Mavis. Worked for a wholesale milliner's in the Commercial Road. This got one of them started on a hat she'd once bought, but they soon tired of that, and were back up their Peckham Alley, reflecting that 3 in the morning was a fine time of night to be out gallivanting in pink artificial silk blouses and red jackets. 19, sniffed one accusingly, her bosom rolling beneath her old brown coat like puppies under an eiderdown. The Star's description of the victim as hatless gave all 3 of them pause, and attractive-looking girl did her reputation no good at all, nor did the word blonde, which seemed to damn her utterly on the apparently unanswerable grounds that if it were her natural colour they'd have said fair-haired. According to the one sitting in the middle, one of the Sunday papers had said that the police were questioning some young man she'd been stepping out with, as well as the cinema's chief cashier. Married man, 2 children, they were the worst. And there'd been interference. The word caused their mouths to fold inwards round their gums, as if they'd just bitten into a pickle sandwich. Injury had then apparently been added to insult when the victim's body was taken to Southwark mortuary and subjected to a post-mortem by Alfred Kemble. This got all of them frightfully excited. The fattest of the 3 remarked that Kemble could tell you what you'd have for breakfast, at which point the one with the black curls, very much not her natural colour, who hadn't uttered so far, piped up that she hadn't had no breakfast, and all 3 of them fell about laughing, their uncorseted shapes squishing into one, the happy holes in their cheery red faces looking as though a bored child had blacked out half their teeth with a lead pencil. Dora looked anxiously out of the window, afraid that the bus would decide to vary its advertised route and deliver her into some strange part of town, that she would miss her stop and be late on her very first day. Fined. Fined how much? She only had 3 shillings in her purse. She squinted at the buildings visible between the charladies' bobbing heads just in time to see Landseer's Lions whiz past, which was vaguely reassuring. Dora had lived in London all her life, but most of that life had been spent away at school, and her mental map of the city was only very sketchily filled in. She knew the bookshops and school outfitters within walking distance of her father's house in Harley Street, and the short taxi rides to museums and railway stations were familiar enough, but places like Pimlico and Goodge Street were terra incognita. The bureau woman had given a string of instructions as long as a French dictation, most of it in the imperative. Dora had taken it all down as best she could, but Mrs. Frith disliked her PG's using the telephone, and it had been a fearful rush. Something about 4 turnings past the corner house, but they'd already passed at least 2 of those. She might just as well have said pillar box, telephone call box, tree. The conductor was whistling the one about the poor getting the blame. Every now and then he would take it into his head to call out the name of some landmark or other, more for his own amusement and glorification than to inform his passengers, who all knew perfectly well where they were and where they were going. "Excuse me," he finished the verse before stopping to listen. "Have we passed Goodge Street?"